The drive from Maddie's to McKelty's is about 4 hours. It's all interstate. It all moves really fast. It's all pretty simple.
Christine's biggest rival was never Robyn. It's the woman she used to call her sister. Christine Brown's offhand remark about wanting to slap Janelle was, by all reasonable measures, a joke. Yet, as with all things sister wives, nuance tends to get lost in translation. Viewers are quick to turn a throwaway quip into a declaration of war, forgetting that most people have uttered something similar to a friend without malice. "I could just slap you," and meant nothing more than mild exasperation. Christine's sense of humor has always walked a fine line between dramatic and disarming. Her personality is large enough to fill the room, but rarely mean-spirited. It's hard to imagine her delivering a genuine threat, especially with cameras rolling. Still, beneath the humor lies an undercurrent of truth. Christine and Janelle's friendship, once ironclad, now carries the subtle tension of shifting priorities and separate ventures. At the heart of it all seems to be business. The work thing likely ties back to Plexus, the joint enterprise that once bonded them. If Christine branches out or scales back, there are implications for customers, commissions, and control. Meanwhile, Janelle's focus on her own brand, Strive, introduces a new layer of independence. Financially and emotionally, they are untangling from each other, and the results are bound to sting a little. Christine herself admitted that Janelle was probably hurt when she chose to venture out on her own. Janelle, ever the stoic, brushed it off publicly. But silence doesn't always mean indifference. Behind the scenes, Christine's quick remarriage, her redefined family roles, and her relocation have changed the dynamic completely. The once inseparable allies of the post-Cody sisterhood are now living distinctly separate lives. Christine's feelings are understandable. For years, she saw herself as the maternal glue of the Brown family, the emotional center, the nurturer, the one who made everyone feel like they belonged. But as her children grow up, move away, and start families of their own, that identity is being rewritten. The jealousy she feels, however mild or humorous, is less about Janelle's success and more about a deep maternal displacement. It's also worth noting the irony. Even without Cody as the common source of conflict, jealousy and competition persist. Whether through business ventures or grandparent bragging rights, the same patterns repeat. Christine's longing for closeness clashes with Janelle's practicality, and both women are learning that friendship without shared struggle requires an entirely new kind of effort. If Christine's comment was meant as a joke, it wasn't her finest, but it revealed something far more compelling than malice. Two strong women, long defined by the same chaos, now testing what friendship looks like in peace. And if viewers are scandalized by a little sarcasm between friends, perhaps they've forgotten what sisterhood actually sounds like. They say Cody was angry about a laptop, but the truth? He was angry about losing control. In the annals of sister wives' absurdities, few moments rival Cody Brown's meltdown over a birthday laptop, a device that apparently symbolized the downfall of his domestic alibis. The episode offered a fascinating glimpse into how even technology can expose a man running out of excuses. According to Cody, Robyn graciously provided him with an office in her Las Vegas home, which is why he was perpetually stationed there. How convenient. The laptop, supposedly a thoughtful gift from his other wives, was intended to help him take his office with him. Translation? Remove his justification for camping out at Robyn's house under the guise of productivity. Naturally, he hated it. Of course he did. The moment that laptop appeared, so did accountability. A concept Cody has spent years avoiding like a day job. Robyn's knowing smirk, her "I knew he wouldn't like it" face, wasn't empathy. It was theater. She understood perfectly well that this was a direct hit to Cody's comfort zone. And the question of what work Cody was doing in this alleged office remains the mystery of the century. Other than answering a few emails from TLC and perfecting his hair flips, his professional output seems negligible. His current work, as he proudly calls it, involves embedding himself in his family, meaning chauffeuring Robyn's kids to school and occasionally pretending to parent. There was, for the record, no shortage of space elsewhere. Mary had 5 bedrooms, more than enough to host both an office and the illusion of effort. Her home was quiet, ideal for productivity, and she all but begged for his presence. Yet Cody's Robyn's office narrative persisted, because when all else fails, blame logistics. The laptop gift was clearly designed to dismantle that excuse, a not-so-subtle way of saying, you can't hide at Robyn's forever. His tantrum made perfect sense once viewed through that lens. The wives had cornered him, and Cody hates nothing more than being cornered by logic. The irony deepens when considering his past financial decisions. The man who cried over a laptop once used TLC advance money to buy himself a flashy convertible, while his family scrambled to stay afloat. The tale that he earned it through hard work was just another script they all agreed to read from. Even more telling was Robyn's selective silence during the gift planning. If she knew he wouldn't like the laptop, why not mention it during the discussion? Simple. Post-fact regret makes for better optics than actual honesty. She gets to look both loyal to her co-wives and sympathetic to Cody. In the end, the laptop wasn't a gift. It was a threat. A portable truth machine that stripped Cody of his last plausible excuse. And in typical Brown family fashion, instead of addressing the deeper issue, his blatant favoritism, they let the narrative shift to whether it was the wrong kind of laptop. Cody's fury wasn't about the specs, it was about the symbolism. Because when you build your entire routine around avoiding fairness, even a computer becomes an act of rebellion. Cody Brown says he had to keep Robyn safe. What he really means is he abandoned everyone else. Cody Brown's latest attempt at self-awareness, if it can be called that, has all the sincerity of a used car salesman confessing his passion for honesty. His statement, "My wives, in whatever way, couldn't handle that I was willing to fight so much to make sure Robyn was kept safe," isn't just tone-deaf. It's the smoking gun in a decade-long saga of favoritism disguised as chivalry. According to Cody, the other wives' problem wasn't the blatant inequality. It was their inability to appreciate his gallant mission to protect his special wife. Because, of course, nothing says spiritual leader of a plural family like prioritizing one woman's emotional comfort over everyone else's financial stability. For years, Cody and Robyn denied accusations of favoritism, but now he's practically gift-wrapped the confession. His protection of Robyn was never just emotional. It came with a price tag: flights, mortgages, and a conveniently timed real estate spree all centered on Robyn, while the other wives were left juggling bills and RV hookups. The man who claimed to lead his family equally was, in reality, funneling time and money into his preferred household, as if affection could be itemized on a balance sheet. Robyn, ever the damsel, has built her brand on helpless confusion. She listens to Cody gush about keeping her safe and somehow remains mystified about why the others resent her. Her performance of wide-eyed innocence might fool Cody, but to everyone else, it's painfully transparent. She has always thrived as his project, the fragile one in need of saving. And Cody, naturally, loved nothing more than playing the rescuer. His preferential treatment extended to their children, too. Solomon and Ariella are adored, doted on, and protected, while his older kids get lectures about loyalty and respect. Perhaps part of this is vanity. His youngest children make him feel like a father, not a grandfather. It's less about love and more about ego preservation, a midlife crisis in a leather jacket, clinging to youth through toddlers. Meanwhile, the contrast with Janelle couldn't be starker. When she bought her RV, she wasn't chasing a fantasy. She was sacrificing her own comfort to keep the family's long-promised dream of Coyote Pass alive. Yet instead of recognition, she received scorn. Cody painted her pragmatism as rebellion and punished her with absence, abandoning his daughter Savannah in the process. The timeline of his priorities tells the whole story. As Maddie prepared to give birth in North Carolina, Cody was too busy shuttling between states to ensure Robyn's housing issues were resolved, because heaven forbid his favorite wife endure even mild inconvenience. And when Robyn quipped, "Well, I'm not the one married to 4 wives," it wasn't just tone-deaf humor. It was the quiet acknowledgement that she had long stopped seeing herself as part of a plural marriage at all. In the end, Cody's declaration about keeping Robyn safe isn't a noble confession. It's an admission of the hierarchy he built. Robyn, the perpetually sheltered, has remained his exception. The others? They were collateral damage in a one-man crusade for the illusion of heroism. It's almost poetic. Cody set out to be the protector of his family, and ended up the architect of its collapse.
Cody and Robyn didn't just ruin the family, they ruined the show. Sister Wives has never been this fake, this dull, or this desperate to stay relevant. Once upon a time, Sister Wives was a chaotic symphony of plural marriage politics, shifting alliances, and emotional explosions. Now, it's a sleep aid with a TLC logo. The latest episode didn't just miss the mark, it buried it under a pile of filler scenes and pre-scripted tension so uninspired, it could make even Cody's hair curl in boredom. The most charitable way to describe the current season is excruciatingly uneventful. Viewers once tuned in to dissect micro-expressions, hunting for signs of real emotion beneath the polished confessional speeches. But even that pastime has lost its charm. Every frame now feels orchestrated, particularly anything involving Cody and Robyn, the self-appointed co-directors of this soap opera that insists on calling itself a reality show. Their every exchange reeks of premeditation, the kind of authenticity that would make a Hallmark movie blush. And then there's Mary's so-called dating storyline, which has all the spontaneity of a press release. Janelle, at least, remains the one flicker of authenticity left. Her dry, unimpressed observations, the only moments that feel remotely human. Her subtle jab about Cody and Robyn's likely struggle to fund McMansion 2.0 was more revealing than anything the editors intended. It was a rare moment of unfiltered truth in a sea of recycled talking points. The tragedy of it all is that the show's supporting cast, Maddie, Caleb, and the next generation, could actually sustain meaningful storytelling. Real health challenges, real family dynamics, real growth. But instead, we're left watching the Robyn and Cody pity parade, now with even less substance and even fewer stakes. The sponsors should honestly consider an exit strategy before this production flatlines entirely. Even Christine and Janelle's allegedly juicy conflict, Christine wanting to slap Janelle, the claim that their friendship is purely business, feels suspiciously contrived. Their tension, long hinted at behind their sisterly smiles, has been stretched thin for the sake of screen time. Gwen's earlier comment that Christine and Cody are actually more alike than anyone admits suddenly feels like the most insightful thing said all season. So yes, boredom has officially replaced betrayal as the dominant mood of Sister Wives. The audience, once loyal, invested, even analytical, has migrated to podcasts, TikTok clips, and recap channels that manage to be livelier than the show itself. When fans start praising commentators more than the content, it's not just a slump. It's a creative collapse. At this point, the only real plot twist would be someone finally pulling the plug. The Sister Wives aren't fighting in real time. They're fighting in reruns. There's a reason this family can't escape its own chaos, because it's now scheduled for broadcast. The Browns have fallen into a perfectly tragic, perfectly predictable time cycle that makes genuine resolution impossible. Each season becomes a reaction to the last, a televised echo chamber of resentment, and the results are as exhausting as they are inevitable. Here's how the cycle works. 2 years ago, Cody filmed himself spewing venom in his talking heads, blissfully unaware that his wives and children wouldn't see those insults until the show aired. By the time filming resumed a year later, Cody had watched the previous season and, shocker, didn't enjoy seeing himself look like the villain. Cue the temporary repentance arc. He softens his tone, attempts diplomacy, and pretends to be the bigger man. Meanwhile, his wives and children are just seeing the season where he trashed them. Their reactions, hurt, fury, mockery, are completely fresh. Maddie cuts ties. Janelle rolls her eyes at his shy wife narrative, and everyone retreats to their corners. But because none of them actually speak off camera, the only place these emotions get processed is back on camera. So as the next season films, Cody, now watching his family badmouth him, snaps right back to fury and self-pity, setting up yet another round of televised retaliation. This delayed emotional feedback loop makes everyone look unhinged. Cody is livid about comments made years ago that his family just saw last week, and the rest of them can't understand why he's still angry. It's like watching people argue through a time machine, with cameras rolling to ensure no one ever learns a lesson.
And the saddest part? None of this would happen if they simply talked in real life. Pick up a phone. Call your daughter. Ask your ex-wife what she meant, instead of saving your rebuttal for the confessional chair. The fact that their family conversations now occur through a reality show edit bay is both tragic and absurd. Cody's brother hit the nail on the head in that painfully accurate exchange. When Cody complained that his fallout with Christine had affected his relationship with her kids, his brother didn't hesitate. "Your kids," he corrected. That single word revealed more truth than any of Cody's monologues ever have. Because this is the real Cody Brown, not the repentant, misunderstood father he occasionally tries to perform, but the bitter, name-calling man who can't stop turning every conflict into a camera-ready grievance. The show doesn't distort him, it exposes him. At this point, it's unclear what another season could possibly offer. The storylines are stale, the relationships are fractured beyond repair, and the only continuity is the damage. The children, who've already endured more instability than most, cling to each other because that's the only consistent family they have left. What began as a show about plural marriage and unconventional family bonds has devolved into televised therapy without the therapist. They no longer communicate, they perform communication. And for a family so obsessed with control, they've become utterly powerless, trapped in a loop of their own making, doomed to watch themselves fall apart on delay. The solution couldn't be simpler. Stop filming and start speaking. But that would require choosing connection over attention. And for this family, that choice has long been off the table. Sister Wives isn't a reality show anymore. It's a televised funeral for authenticity. At this point, watching Sister Wives feels less like entertainment and more like a slow, televised root canal. The show has reached the stage where viewers would rather stare into the sun, or as one might put it, stick needles in their eyes, than sit through another hour of the Cody and Robyn show. Authenticity left the building seasons ago, and what remains is a choreographed pageant of self-delusion, denial, and heavily filtered tears. Cody and Robyn Brown, the last two standing in this imploded polygamous experiment, continue their performance with the energy of people auditioning for sympathy they'll never earn. The authentic glimpses, when they do occur, are accidental. Like when Robyn snapped at a producer's mildly pointed question about moving without the family's help. Her icy, dismissive, "Are we done here?" said more about her true personality than 1,000 hours of her quivering lip and martyr routine ever could. It was a flashback to her panel moment years ago, when she spat, "Don't try to make me a victim, sweetie," at Christine's aunt. That wasn't a mask slipping. It was the mask disintegrating entirely. Robyn's self-styled sainthood has long reeked of brimstone. Every act of grief or struggle is staged against a backdrop of luxury. Oversized homes, endless decor, and a lifestyle that seems more aspiring Scottsdale influencer than persecuted plural wife. The alleged downsizing that required more space, not less, was little more than a justification for indulgence and control.
There's even been chatter of a financial audit exposing Cody's creative accounting. Money funneled into a private trust with Robyn, leading to a court order requiring repayment to the other wives. If true, it's poetic justice wrapped in a legal notice.
When asked about missing the extra help from the rest of the family during their move, Cody and Robyn's awkward giggling was a masterclass in deflection. They could have easily turned that moment into goodwill. Acknowledging the children who once shouldered their burdens would have humanized them. Instead, they opted for smug silence, proving once again that self-awareness isn't their strong suit. Even the die-hard fans are out of patience. Scenes featuring Mary or McKelty and Tony are now treated like fast-forward prompts. The only segments worth enduring are those featuring Cody and Robyn, if only to marvel at the body language of a couple in synchronized delusion. His manic energy paired with her passive-aggressive composure. The producers seem well aware of this dynamic, often framing their questions to subtly expose the cracks in the couple's glossy facade. At this stage, the only merciful end would be a final episode titled, "Where Are They Now?" A dignified exit featuring the adult children who, unlike their parents, appear capable of growth and perspective. Until then, Sister Wives remains what it has quietly become, a parody of itself. A show about family that destroyed its own, about faith that eroded into ego, and about authenticity that died somewhere between the confessional couch and Robyn's cartoonishly drawn eyebrows. The real question isn't why the show is still on. It's why anyone still feels obligated to watch it.
Cody Brown didn't marry Robyn for love. He bought himself a loyal audience. When Cody Brown declared that he bought Robyn a McMansion to ensure she was safely kept, one had to wonder, was he describing a marriage or enrolling her in witness protection? The phrasing alone could launch a dozen conspiracy theories. Was she fleeing from enemies, shielded from vengeful ex-wives, or perhaps she suffers from some rare bone fragility condition that requires living behind wrought iron gates and endless emotional coddling? Whatever safely kept means, it sounds less like love and more like ownership. Of course, the subtext isn't mysterious at all. Cody wasn't protecting Robyn from danger. He was protecting his ego. Safely kept is simply his poetic way of saying she's a kept woman. Robyn entered the family with 3 children and a clear mission, to find a provider, not a partner. And Cody, ever the self-proclaimed patriarch, was all too eager to play savior. The arrangement is painfully transparent. She offers loyalty and adoration. He offers financial security and the illusion of romantic supremacy. This dynamic explains his meltdown when Christine walked away and took her income with her. That wasn't heartbreak, it was panic. Without Christine's contribution, his resources for keeping Robyn safe began to crumble. The castle, after all, doesn't pay for itself. Their shared obsession with the word safe has become unintentionally comic. If one were to take a shot every time they said it, the result would be swift hospitalization. Safety has become their buzzword, their excuse, their mantra. Robyn positions herself as the delicate damsel, and Cody obliges by donning his dented armor. Her narrative, escaping abuse, enduring cruel treatment from the other wives, being misunderstood, casts him as her eternal defender. In reality, she has manipulated the storyline so thoroughly that Cody now exists solely as her bodyguard and benefactor. But Cody's devotion isn't just misguided, it's performative. His exaggerated declarations of love for Robyn aren't rooted in passion, but in desperation. She's not the great romance of his life. She's the last woman standing. In his mind, her loyalty proves his worth. If she ever left, his entire image as the commanding husband of many would collapse. For a man so consumed by appearances, that's unthinkable. What's more, Robyn knows precisely how to keep him tethered. She speaks Cody, the unique dialect of narcissistic validation. She learned how to feed his ego, to tell him he's brilliant, strong, misunderstood. As long as she keeps up the flattery, she remains his beloved. The moment she stops,
She'll join the discarded ranks of Christine, Mary, and Janelle. This isn't love. It's a psychological contract between two people who need each other for entirely unromantic reasons. One for security, the other for self-importance. So no, Robyn isn't an undercover agent, a fragile porcelain doll, or a secret government informant. She's something far simpler and far shrewder. She's the one who figured out how to make Cody Brown feel like a hero, and in doing so, became his most prized possession. Safely kept, indeed. Stay tuned. The rerun won't be half as interesting as the reckoning.